Welcome to this week's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I am joined today by RJ Grimshaw, better known as the AI CEO.
It sounds
Hey,
funny. It sounds funny, Jesse.
hey! When you came out with the name and you set up the website and everything,
It
I'm like, so we're here today to talk about something that RJ knows nothing about, but yet talks all the time. Just kidding.
yeah, you're spot on, and I appreciate that. And even when I get that imposter syndrome, a lot of times now, if I come across an ad for like a university or someone that's teaching something about AI, I'll go look at their background just to see. And guess what? I haven't found anyone that's been in AI longer than I have been. Now, the OGs, that's a different
The,
conversation.
geez, what is an OG like?
An OG's been around
12,
since
12,
maybe
12 months
20,
old? Well,
2010, 2013. And you think I'm kidding you. There's some great OGs and you'll come across them. And it's been a fascinating journey, though. I've met some of the most fascinating people along this journey in terms of AI. And that's what we're talking about. And how I came up with the name primarily is I had a crazy idea, went and saw if the domain was available, and I said, you know what, the CEOAI.ai, if anything, maybe that domain might be worth something someday. And then it just morphed into that. And what really drove it more than anything else, Jesse, and people know this, and you know this, I love talking about entrepreneurship. And when you can take these tools that AI has to offer and leverage them with someone that has the contextual knowledge and the desire of curiosity, that's why I'm so jacked up about it. And the other thing I quickly realized back in the summer months and then really in October at the annual is like, people are so busy. You don't have time to hey, let me do some research on Grok. Let me do some research on ChatGPT, to the point now that you're tired of hearing me talk about it because that's all I live all day and talk about it. But it's new. It's only going to get better. The tools that are coming are, again, incredible for the companies and people that want to lean into them, but it's going to be different and there's going to be a lot of change. And change management has, what I'm finding is, forget about AI. We need to talk about change management. And I'm preaching to the choir right now. You're chuckling because what you do at Consult Disrupt and you walk into change management every day.
Yeah.
And the other piece of that is doing true strategy conversations and not planning. The majority of us, in the majority of my career, I planned. I didn't do real strategic thinking. I was planning. Okay, next year we're going to do this, 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 and this. 2 years we're going to do this. 3 years this. 5 years, okay, we're going to do it. But when you're doing strategic planning, and this is where I've been consulting a lot of my clients on, you're uncomfortable because you're actually looking out into the future and you're making decisions on things that you can't look behind and say, well, let's look at the trends to look forward. There's no lagging indicators for this. And that's what AI is. We don't know.
Well, that, and if you take the time to invest in it to learn it, is it going to be like buying a VHS when a DVD comes out like that much?
That,
I'm sure that's
that
probably much faster though, technology where it's constantly changing. Because that's one of the biggest things I see. It's like you sit there and you've been offering to help. I don't even know, probably for the last like 9 months. And shame on me, I haven't had a chance to. It's because I'm living in like the day to day, and I haven't had the time to invest in it. But I leverage ChatGPT probably every day just
right.
for different things to help speed up my processes to make my life easier. Have I invested in learning the prompting that I think we're going to get to at some point
Yeah.
during this interview here? I haven't, so I'm sure it's not dialed in to specifically how I could be leveraging it better. I remember the one time I actually needed it for something to make my night go faster. And I went to log on offline. This one offline. You like go to my website and look at the tools. They're all like offline. Texted you. I'm like, AI, huh? Great tool. Great tool.
Love this tool. It's offline. I can't do anything. Now,
Internet's down.
internet's down. Technology is a great thing. I remember that night very well when I got that text messages with all those emojis from you. I remember that really well. And immediately I went to X and checked. I'm like, yeah, it's down. It hasn't. I'm sure it's been down since then, but it doesn't happen as much as it did early on. And remember, I was an early adopter, so I was using it back in 23 when you still would have the asterisks and everything else when the outputs. And
Sure.
you're spot on, Jesse. With I call it AI fatigue, and I'm actually tired of hearing about AI. Seriously, I'm tired of it. It's too much because it's people are again just trying to run their business, take care of their family, learn a new skill, and that's where I go back to prompting. If there's one thing that everyone, myself included, we can get better at is prompting and build out a repository of your prompts for different situations. That's what I'm starting to work on now to give people tools to be able to leverage their own knowledge base in a chat GPT to be able to drive those, whatever you're trying to accomplish. So I built out, just rolled it out yesterday to some people. It's just a sales cold leader. And primarily we took all the knowledge base of equipment leasing and financing. We scraped the internet, YouTube, took all the data that's out there, cleaned it, and then built out a complete knowledge base that the model will go in and bounce off the knowledge base to answer the questions. Then we layered on top of it my ABLE principle, which is analyze, build, leverage, execute, and part of that process. So as you're working through having that conversation with the LLM, it's going through that process, that framework. And then the secret powers, we layered a level of NLP, which is enhanced learning in terms of neuro for salespeople of the personas back and forth. So I just said a lot of things that make me sound really smart,
What
but
is
it's easy.
NLP? What is
NLP
NLP?
NLP is verbal versus nonverbal communication, and enhances salespeople in terms of their communication of understanding how you want to receive the information. So I'm going to
Got it.
frame it in a certain way or influencing your behavior based off of you and not off of me.
Okay.
It's a servant leader. You're a servant salesperson. It's the same model. It's like, it's not about RJ. It's all Jesse, how I serve you. It's same thing with you. It's not about Jesse. It's about how you serve RJ. So you layer that on top, and that's the RAG part of the prompting where it goes through this system, and we continue to work on it, fine tune it. But if we're able to get that to a point where we had a client, a brand new salesperson. I said, here you go. Here's a tool. They can interact with that just like a sales trainer in any situation. They hang up the phone from a sales call. They can go in there, prompt it. It just was on a phone call. You can go. We've also divided out direct versus vendor because we know that talk track is completely different when you're talking to a dealer or a vendor. If you're talking to an end user, we're working on, we don't have it yet in terms of different verticals of asset types to be more specific, but that comes with time. So we just want to get the tool out there for people to use. And we have a couple people, their responses were, we're going to bang on this hard and give you feedback. And I'm like, that's what we want.
So is the purpose of that to help with like scripting out a call in different situations? Or, hey, I ran into this objection, please give me, 3 alternatives to that?
You could look at it just like if you were going to go in the office of your sales manager and walk through a scenario with them.
Okay.
Or if you're in a certain vertical and you were in a situation, it gets to the point where it'll actually spit out money factors with the residual if you want it to. Now, granted, the human has to interact with it to say, no, I want the residual at 20% versus 25%, but you give the parameters, it'll calculate the payment. The tool is really what you wanted to do, but we put the guardrails on it. So it's equipment leasing and finance specific, where it's not outrunning, picking up garbage data
Sure.
and bringing it back in.
I guess, you know me, I'm always going to be skeptical,
Sure.
but yet understanding. So the thing that has kind of always made me different in my career as a salesperson was like authenticity. And if people are leveraging the same script across the board, they might not believe in sales leader, servant leadership, or that might not be their personality. So it's interesting to see how, if they have that from a AI learning perspective and it's walking them through the scenarios, and the client's like, okay, I want to meet you face to face. They meet this person like, oh, you're a dud,
And
dude.
empty suit shows up.
You can text a good game, but you suck at life.
Yeah, no.
So I hope you know where I was going with that, where
Oh,
it's
you
more
raised
like,
that you raised that point back in October, November last year, and it's a valid point. It made me self-aware and conscientious of to ensure that everything sounds like RJ when I put a post out on LinkedIn or write for Equipment FA or Equipment Finance Connect. So what I did is I went and built out a persona for myself, which I could show anyone to do. It's quick and easy, where it always sounds like RJ, that it doesn't sound like a robot. And matter of fact, that is truly going to be the differentiator for people. If you just use AI as a commodity, you're right, Jesse. You're going to sound like everybody else. Matter of fact, I could go on LinkedIn right now and tell you, look at a post with 3 seconds and tell you if it was AI generated or not. Because there's certain artifacts, when you look as many outputs as I have, I'm the
yeah,
crazy one, not you for looking at them. You can see just how spacing is. And believe me, these models are getting better and better, but you can
yeah.
still pick up. And I love it when I'll send it to, yeah, I'll send it,
Six
I'll copy.
stars, rocket
I'll,
ships, all these
yeah.
things. Like, get
Well, the
out of here.
emojis,
Come
I
on.
tell you, you made a comment to me like, dude, you got to stop the emojis. You're not an emoji guy. And so I take them out. So now I actually train my models now where it won't put out
We'll put them in there.
emojis. It won't put it. I said, no emoji. Jesse doesn't like emojis, so we're not allowing emojis.
No, I
But
just sit there and I'm like, what the? I get it, but I'm like, oh,
and we're joking around. We're joking about it, and the devil's advocate, and yeah,
no, but
there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty, Jesse. If you're a business leader right now, or a department head, or even an individual contributor in your organization, and you haven't started with any AI, that's cool. What you should do is probably take a day and start documenting what you do on a daily basis if you don't have that done in terms of standard operating procedures. Because what I'm finding, AI is it's not magic dust. If you didn't have good SOPs or a good operating system or a good culture or a halfway decent tech stack, AI does not come in and fix those issues.
no.
If anything, it's a band-aid and it's going to make it worse.
So like going from
And
a typewriter to a PC, it just makes you more efficient. I mean, the fireside I just did before this, which will air last week, when this goes out, was with a broker out of Las Vegas. Basically, their investment in AI and a decent CRM layered over the top of it saved their salespeople an hour a day, and they didn't have to hire two credit people. So I know that's big, right? Because now it's saving them payroll. So those are
but that's
hard
a
numbers. That's great, especially that brokers do it.
you're right, and I appreciate that. However, what what the fear now is, it's going to be a race to the bottom because we can take expense out of the system. So does that mean we're just going to price lower and now the competition's going to price lower? And that's not the intent,
Now,
of these
tends to do
tools.
more without having to add
Do more
additional
with
headcount.
less, right?
Yeah,
You
what a
do more
concept.
with less. And that's the new catchphrase. Like, who's going to be the first $1 trillion company with 6 employees?
Well,
I
and if they
actually
do the race to the bottom, right, that blue ocean strategy will come into play, and they won't be at the bottom very long.
no, no. And actually it's going to be faster than it's ever been.
Sure,
And if we talk about the negative aspect of this is there's a lot of people concerned about their jobs. They should be. Everyone should be. Everyone, myself, everyone. All you can do is just continue to at least learn and just always be upskilling. And it's hard with family. It's hard as you get older. I know it's hard for me. It's like, hey, my iPhone's not working. I give it to my kid, fix this for me. I get it. But it's mindset and it's just having that curiosity muscle that you're at least trying to learn. And I was very happy last week or 2 weeks ago at the NIFA event, that there's more arms going up in terms of people that are at least talking about it in the organization. Another idea for a leader is bestow this on your team. Next week when you're having the next time you have a team meeting with your team, it doesn't matter what department you're in: sales, you're in docs, you're in credit, you're in collections, customer service, accounting, default management. It doesn't matter. During the meeting, just as a team, say, hey, what's one thing that we could automate? Or one thing we hate doing. One thing we hate doing that we do not want to do that we know technology can do. Start with one. And then that's where the momentum starts. But it goes back to, you have to have the foundation, the SOPs, and identify the problem. And that goes to able, analyze it, then you build it, leverage, execute. So
is there a model you wanted to walk through?
I built
I'm a very visual person. I'm sure people
Sure.
are too. So when you did that exercise for the NIFA ice fishing event, where I think you tried to find the top salesperson in equipment finance, and you kind of put these resumes on there, and it kind of built out everything, gave you a top 10 and reasons why everyone was ranked the way they did. I think that stuff for me, RJ, when I hear AI and some of this stuff, that's what kind of makes it click, when you can actually see a scenario and see it live. And for the record, I think this is episode I think we're getting close to 230, and I've never done sharing a screen before. So this is the first time. Hopefully it goes smooth.
Hopefully it's. I'm not sure if you are you seeing my sales co-leader right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the brand new transponder that we just built. And what I mean, we just built this. This is, let me see. So this is the knowledge base that I spoke around in terms of the knowledge base, and then the NLP piece here. And then it's about the prompting. So we massage these prompts where we work it back and forth to ensure that it is meeting the requirements around the questioning of the engagement. Because ultimately what we want to do is have this be a roadmap or a puzzle that the human is driving to get to the output that they're desiring. So this is a sales tool. So this is what we built. So you'd come into your GPT here. It's updating real quick here.
So question for you. So the
Yes, sir.
prompting is something that you configure, not something you type in the box that says, I am an empathetic servant leader. You have to configure it on the side. And these are all questions where you're like, yeah, dude, this is AI 101.
Yeah, this is great conversations. I get jazzed up about this stuff. So when you customize your own GPT, which is right here, so this is where you can come in and you do the personalization. So you can look at my custom instructions. I don't think there's anything here that would be proprietary that I can't share now. But here's my data controls where it stays within my tenant. So improve models for everyone, that's off. And then where is let's see here, where my persona is.
I think that was a key thing you just mentioned. Improve for everyone. Turn that off.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's the challenge with AI, because think about this. AI, the whole idea of AI was to have decentralized data and information to be shared. And now we're saying, okay, we have these great tools, but you're not going to get my data. And I understand why, because the sensitivity, we don't want to be putting in financials of a business that we're working with, or a business that maybe you're consulting with, or your own business. So that's why you want to keep your own data within the tenant. And it says it right down here, ChatGPT can make mistakes. The other thing too for this tool, to get back to the sales co-leader here, is that when you input any questions here or have dialogue with this transponder, no one else can see that communication back and forth. However, it will be saved in your sidebar over here where you can see your conversations, so you can come back to it. Another recommendation or best practices, you can actually rename these. So you could rename your sidebar if you're onto something. So say, Jesse, if we're having a board meeting on EF Cares and we were leveraging the transponder as a AI board member, we could save all that communication and relabel it, and then it would stay here on our sidebar. And then, as a matter of fact, we could go search it later And these are all my chats I've ever had. So I could go back and search as a history.
Nice.
However, with that being said, when you go find that, you really have to make a conscious decision. Do you want to start engaging again in that tenant? Because it could be diluted because of the communication back and forth. I just threw a lot at you. Um,
No, I get it. Because I mean, ideally, I would love to have one where it's like, hey, this is the Consult Disrupt, like, you know, blog. This is EF Cares marketing, like, all these different things. So you don't have to
so,
go in and
and
restart it over
that's
again.
what we've built here. So you look here, this is my AI CEO humanizer. So if this will take something that maybe is sounding too techy, and it'll run through the prompt and
Dumb it down for people
dumb
like
it
me.
dumb it down like RJ. Dumb it down like RJ. I will say too, if anyone says that they haven't put into prompt, talk to me like a kindergartner or fifth grader, you're missing the greatest thing ever. Because there's certain things that, like, I have no idea what that means. I'll prompt it. Or here's the other thing: if you played sports,
I saw you did the hockey analogy that
I
one
did the
time.
hockey
The
analogy.
hockey
Yeah.
coach. Yeah.
Explain it to me as hockey. And again, all these tools are just ways to learn that I never was taught. I was taught, here's a book, read it. Okay. What did you comprehend, and regurgitate it back at us? There was never these other tools. There was never a podcast. There was never video.
Sure.
There was nothing ever, anything like that. And the other fascinating thing to do is, and some models do it, some models don't. It depends what day of the week it is. Literally, when I say it depends what day of the week it is, Claude might one day show all its reasoning, the next day it won't. And people say, well, that's scary. Well, no, because what they're doing is they're making changes under the hood to the algorithm and things of that nature. But if you ever took the time or have an opportunity to look at the reasoning when you prompt it with a good, strong prompt in terms of, remember, persona, task, what you wanted to do, the output with an example. And I always put world class. That's just what I like doing because I want the best of the best.
Sure.
I've seen some people that I'm in prompt gurus they'll even give it an IQ. You have an IQ of 180. I'm like, I think that's kind of extreme, but
What
but
happens if you make the IQ like 25? Will it spit back just a bunch of gibberish? I'm
I
just
actually said that. I said that to a buddy of mine. I said, is AI getting dumber as humans load in our intelligence into it?
I'm sorry. It's funny.
It,
Anyhow,
it,
sorry.
it's funny. And it's I'm excited for the future relative to the people who are okay with change. No one likes surprises. We all say we like surprises on Christmas morning, but we don't. We don't like those type of surprises. So the point being, at the end of the day, is in the world we live in, just be very curious, be very, interested in learning new things. Everyone's world's going to change. There's not a one person that their world is not going to be affected, impacted, um, by, and I don't even want to say the word, but by what we're dealing with right now. But the good news is that the new technology with the low code, no code, and MCP server. I've learned more about text in the last year that it's almost scary. What it's doing, it's breaking down the walls to provide the tools at a cost perspective where you don't have to be an enterprise size company to have the same tools. And we did that at Unify. We band-aided a lot of that together manually to do these, but now the tools are there. We were using, we used at Unify, we were using AI to spread our bank statements in 2019. And when I first introduced that to the team, they're like, oh, you don't trust us. I go, this has nothing to do with trust, has nothing to do with you, has everything to do with fraud detection. I, as a human, can't pick up the fraud detection, but it morphed because the tool just kept getting better and better and better. And now they can't, I can't live without it. It's like a calculator, right? You get a calculator. It's like, I'm gonna become dumber because I'm not gonna use, I'm not gonna use my brain to do math. Well,
I'm not going to use an abacus anymore. Well, no, I don't have time for that.
It's just change. It goes right back to change
Yeah.
management, Jesse. And I am far from a tech guru. I'm far from an AI guru. I'm just a guy that likes curiosity and helping people go through change because it's hard. The other thing, nice thing is with in the equipment financing and leasing industry, I can walk in and you don't have to explain to me how you do things, what you do it.
Look,
You
you've ran a
know,
leasing company, you've grown it exponentially, so you understand trials and tribulations that come along with that. So it's like real life application to a tech platform, which
and I
is
and I
which is hard, right?
probably don't do a good enough job of articulating. I realized this at NIFA when I was talking to people about what the team was able to achieve at Unify, and it's
Well,
pretty damn special. And best taking those best practices of growing a portfolio to $250 million and shrinking your FTEs by 30% and working for a community bank and having an incredibly good strong efficiency ratio with good portfolio performance. So not many CEOs. I was able to earn a PhD at Unify. One because of the situation, and two because of the team. We just worked together in terms of sharing knowledge,
sure.
and
So
leaning
RJ,
leaning into it.
for the my sales co-leader that you originally had up here, is
Yep.
there a scenario you can walk through for the audience?
Yeah. Am I
Just
sharing or no? Am I?
you're at the yeah, no, you're still sharing. We're at
Okay.
the
All right.
AI.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So I could do this. So I'm on the humanizer. So I want to get back to so
Yeah.
there's 4 prompts that you could start with. Anyone that logs into this is the link. I could send you the link. Just send me an email, rj at the AICEO.ai. We can start here. So what's a humble way to handle prospects who say we're happy with our current vendor? See, this is live. I will now go back to the engineer and I'm going to say, I'm going to want that changed, not vendor, to customer though. So we can start, that's where the fine tuning comes into play because a vendor might mean different things to different people, right?
Got it.
So we want to fine
Yes.
tune that. So this is now taking the NLP, it runs through the knowledge base. And again, this is just a conversation. Like the example I said, you walk into a sales manager's office, hey, I got a prospect. They say they're happy with their current provider. This is what a sales manager would, acknowledge without being pushy, totally fair. Then you can say, okay, write me an email, intro, humble with a strong call to action, CTA. And eventually you're going to be talking to these. I could be talking to this right now. I'm
In
not sure how
shorthand,
that's going to
basically, because it probably understands everything that you're saying.
correct. Well, I just don't know how it's going to work when you're in an office environment where people are just talking all the time and you're not sure who they're talking to, but they're talking to their transponder. Again, I don't know what the world's going to look like. I just, the articles I read. So here's your email, and this is built when I built this. I built this to the persona of a salesperson if they were working for RJ. So I'm a concise, no fluff, cut through the noise,
That's clean. It's short. I mean, that's
clean,
well written.
sweet.
That's
Right.
well written. I mean, RJ, you've seen my emails for what, 15 years now? Like, I don't put fluff in it. It's, hey, how are you? This is what I'm looking for. That's it. Right?
So let's
Emails
throw
that
it.
are more than 2 paragraphs, I don't even have, like, sorry.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
In matter of fact, I was just reading a blog over the weekend in regards to the ultra wealthy. They have the worst email etiquette of anyone in terms of they don't even complete sentences in their emails or no signature lines. Like they're so busy, it's like you get a one-word answer.
I could see that with some people I work with. Yes, that works.
Yeah. Or why. It's like,
Okay.
okay, I'm not sure if he's asking me why or thumbs up or that's why I
Or now
love
the
the
thumbs up
emojis.
emoji comes into text message, and I'm like, ah, seriously?
So I just pivoted on the transponder and for you. So I said, Um, please add something about FMV. So we just pivoted from an EFA to now FMV. So it pivots it gives you the new email. It brings up why FMV. And then we can even actually say add info about tax benefits. And we're able to fine tune this for someone if they wanted to fine tune it exactly and specifically where it would be theirs personally, where it would come out with the email, where it would be your signature line, your email address, your phone number, your tagline, everything. Because remember, we started current vendor, and then we're still on that talk track. So that's what I'm saying. When you come back to it, sometimes it gets diluted, Jesse, because you
Sure.
forgot that way up top where it started, because it's remembering that this is its only memory that it has right now, maintain here. And you're the only one, again, you're the only person that can see this when you come back to it. Because the first couple of times I just deleted it out. I came back, I'm like, hey, where's our conversation? Oh, it gets erased. I'm like, well, it kept saying memory. Well, it's memory when you stay in the tenant. But when you leave the tenant, it's gone. You delete out of it. But see, it stays here on the sidebar right here.
And I'd probably
And
say, myself included, a huge percentage of people don't even understand probably the tenant scenario, and like they just think it's an ongoing chat. Like every now and then I post something, I'm like, no, I didn't want it to go in that one. Like,
just like a silo. I just picture silos. It's like, you just silo. But so let me show you one last thing, just so
sure.
people can see this. So if we go back to, was this my last where was it? Right here. That can't be the one because it has emojis in it. So let's do this. How can my sales rep trust faster discovery calls without sounding scripted? What you mentioned earlier. We don't want to sound, we want to sound like a person. So this would be the response. Then I'm actually going to show you a little trick, which is the next level, is level 2 of using your transponders. So you see it's coming with the answer, and it's crazy. When it's really thinking like this and giving you the answer, it seems slow because you're used to it just go whoop. But when it's thinking like this, you find yourself
Hold on.
saying, okay, quicker, faster. I remember one time I had a software in my office. I'd see this circle, just circle and just spin on my wheel. It seemed like it would take hours and hours and hours, but it was really
Because
probably
it's
only a
because it
minute.
did. It's because
So
it did.
so here's now the coaching. How can my reps build trust faster? Walk you through how to do that. And then here's an exercise that actually you could have your reps do or the person do. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to bring in now
I like
another
the mirror
transponder.
and match. Don't mimic. That's fantastic.
What's that?
The mirror and match, but don't make fun of. I got it. You got it.
We've been working on another transponder for SOPs. Even if you have SOPs built, you could still run it through here. So you could attach a document and say, please match this our current SOP to the format of a world-class SOP. So
So, how many of these organizations that you work with actually have standard operating procedures?
not enough, and I completely understand why. I'll be very transparent. When we were at Unify, we had documents, right? And we have contextual knowledge. And in 2020, we always would start the initiative and then it would just die out. However, with the tools now that are available, and I'll give you specific tools, we ultimately started using a tool called Tranial.
Huh?
And Tranial, you would now with APIs, you could probably have it tied right into your systems, and it would do everything from onboarding new employees to SOPs with a doc repository, doc tracking, videos. It's a pretty cool tool to leverage. But where we're going with AI, Jesse, and this no code, low code, people are going to be able to build their own tools and have it in their own, on premise and things of that nature too. So this is the SOP. So I included another transponder here, and you do that by just putting at, and then it lists all my different transponders that I work with on a daily basis. So I could do a diagram now. So
All
please.
right, so help me out here from a transponder. Is that another chat that you have to the left that brings in that knowledge of that chat? Is that
Correct.
what that means? Okay.
Correct. So now this is going to draw a mind map of above from the sales process. And again, I'm not looking at the data, the outputs, but that's where the human part comes into this. Even though it's giving you the answer, it could hallucinate, or it might not be accurate, or it might be, yeah, that's old school, or no, our industry isn't like that. That's where you can come in and critique and change the data around so it sounds like Jesse or whoever the salesperson is.
So RJ, why this is going, the projects that you work on today, I mean, do you have an ideal clientele? Is it a startup? Is it a bank? Is it an independent broker? Do you even know yet?
Yeah, great question. Where we are today, right now, is everyone is in a different spot in the journey in terms of leveraging AI. It's asking me a lot to go out to the whimsical, so it's doing that right now. So everyone's on their own path, their journey. We have some clients. I have some clients that are we're at the foundation level. We're let's start with the SOPs. And I know you didn't bring me in to start with SOPs, but with these tools, we can, with Scribe is another incredible tool that we can build these out fairly quickly. Then at that point, we can start evaluating your process where we can use automation. And it's not overnight. People, I would ask leaders to look at this as a 6 month to a 2 year, 3 year journey. It's not going to happen overnight. And you're not missing out. There's don't be fearful that you're missing out, and don't get caught up in the press releases that are coming out. I pay attention to them and I ask, I'm like, so specifically, what are you doing? They're like, well, it's just a layer, it's a wrapper. And just stay,
Buzzwords,
yeah,
buzzwords.
stay true to who you are. Stay true to who you are. And so here's here's the creation framework, the mind map now for it. So I brought in, again, this was a different transformer with different knowledge base. I didn't build this whimsical. That was built by somebody else, but it's free for me. And again, it stays here, my data. It does not go out to their models. So it's all privacy in my own tenant.
Oh.
And I was going to ask if, do I want to download little PDF? And this is live, so I'm not sure. Sometimes download, please.
It'll work for RJ, but when Jesse tries to use it, it'll be offline.
It'll be offline. It'll say no soup for you. So now it's building out. And again, they just keep getting, better and better. But I really like to just show I've referenced it a couple times, the knowledge base. And this is when you're in GPT, where this is the prompting again, and you come down here and here's all your knowledge base. And every company will have a knowledge base to be able to build out their own transponders. Doesn't matter if it's Claude. I can show you Claude real quick. Claude is what they call projects. So as you go into projects here, do you see my Claude screen?
Yes, sir.
So here are all my different projects here. Change management's one. So it's a tool. And here's all my knowledge base that I have in here to drive that. I have one for transcribing, my transcribe tools, instructions, what to do when it comes in, analyze it. So it's really just looking at your day-to-day activities of what you do and just think, could I be leveraging AI to do this? And even if you just start with that, Jesse, at the end of the day, you're in front of 75% of everyone else because the automation really hasn't kicked in yet in terms of driving the tools. And that's
So
where
I
I go
guess
back to the foundation.
and then from an investment perspective, right? It's not just the financial investment, RJ. it's the time commitment, right? Time is almost, I think now in working with some clients, more than what something costs to do. Um, so what does an organization look like if they want to contract with you to come in and do something like this? Is it a massive undertaking? I know you said it could be 6 months, could be 18 months to 2 years. What is, and I'm sure this is changing depending on the dynamics of the organization, but what are you seeing?
Yeah, it really goes into, we have a client right now that we're working through this on, and what we're doing with them is identify, and it falls right in the line of what I used to speak around entrepreneurship, right? You want to identify your entrepreneurs in your organization that is going to drive the innovation. We're doing the same
Yeah.
thing now. So that's why I love AI, because really all we're doing now is the same playbook and framework that I was doing before. We're going to identify now our AI champions in each department. Who's that person that is good with technology, that understands the inputs and outputs, that has the discretionary effort and is always, wanting to learn more. And if we don't have one in a certain department, do we have a person that maybe could cover two departments? Just as an AI champion per se. And we're not going to, and I don't like using the word AI because it's too big. We're not going to automate or start looking to change everything in the business overnight. It's a gradual process.
Sure.
And we're advising people too, everything should be internal right now. Anything that you're doing with automation should not be external to client interfacing, because we don't believe the tools are there yet. They're close and they're going to be there, but you don't want to stub your toe with a bot.
You're going to send a contract out with all these emojis on it. Sorry.
No, who I really feel bad for, the junior developers and coders. Their worlds have been really turned upside down. Attorneys,
Yeah.
And granted, good attorneys will always have a job.
Yeah. No, it's a support tool. Yeah, but yeah, take this 10-page contract and highlight every fifth word in random format to make it look like I read it.
Well, you can do what's amazing. I have a transponder where it'll do a compare and contrast for me in PDFs and earmark them and then format it for me, where it'll go through each document and then it'll show me exactly where the changes are or where the differences are. The big part of our industry, Jesse, that's really will benefit from AI is our CFOs and CPAs. Because that unfortunately is a demographic that continues to shrink from a professional perspective, and we see that in our industry.
Oh yeah.
And I'll use this as a metaphor. Imagine, back in the day when someone was doing tax returns without a calculator, and they're doing everything with pen and paper, and then they got a calculator, and then they got a computer, and then they got Excel, and then right now.
Yep.
The whole idea will be you'll have one CFO with junior bookkeepers validating the data and looking at the algorithm to make sure that, because in accounting, you can't be at 99.8, right? You have to be 100% accurate all the time, every time.
Depends on some of the organizations that you work with.
Very true. Touche.
I didn't say that. Hypothetically speaking.
Touche. And that's going to be interesting too, because I'm having, I've contracted with a company to do my returns through AI this year. And I had the question of, well, what happens because they're so much smarter and maybe my human CPA missed something and they're going to want me to write a bigger check. So it can work against you too.
Yeah, I could. Anyhow, nope. This is a recorded conversation. We're just going to move on.
I'll just gladly send the check with a smile and say, "Thank you. May I have another?" And as my dad always says, if you're paying taxes, it's a good thing.
do not share my data with everyone. Do not share my data. It stays here.
But at the end of the day, Jesse, the one thing I'll leave everyone with is that change, it's here. We're all living in it. There's no right answers. There's no wrong answers. Everyone's
Sure.
on the journey together. Be empathetic. Um, at least start having the conversations internally. I wrote an ebook for e-literacy. But again, if you just use these tools, you don't need books. You can ask these transponders anything that you want, and it has the knowledge.
Well, and you share all these tools on your website. I know I've
Mhm.
seen that before. So, and then just give your contact info real quick, RJ, if you don't mind, so people can reach out and understand it's not a huge undertaking. It's not. I mean, it can be as big as you want it to be, but it's not overwhelming.
It's really up to you, and I'll give you the playbook because you still have to go execute it. But the website is the AICEO.ai. I spend a lot of time now on X. It's been pretty cool in this world. I'm getting exposure to people that I would have never had exposure to before. I met the lead AI coder for PayPal in San Diego when I was in San Diego. I met her in a Discord room. If anyone even knows what a Discord is, probably watching this. Okay. I met, I forget the gentleman's name now, but he was the founder of EXP Realty. He's a billionaire. He was in a Discord room with us. And when I'm talking about this Discord room, it's a knowledge base where I've been fortunate enough to get into this room where they see the future, what's coming in terms of the technology tools. And I'm not going to get into that because that's not what we're here to discuss, but they're seeing what's coming
Sure.
and what they're saying. There's a lot of change. Just it's all positive. It's whatever you want to do with the change at the end of the day. If you want to fight it, it's going to be hard for you. If you want to just go on a ride on the wave and do the best you can and lean into it, you're going to be with everybody else. And if anyone that tells you they have it figured out, they're lying to you.
You talking about, man? I got a flip phone.
You're the smartest guy.
It's with my thumb.
You, you're the smartest guy to have. I wish that sometimes I had a flip phone. I just
Me
want to know what
too.
time it is.
It's it. It's it.
I don't need Uber popping up and DoorDash telling me I didn't order yet, and all that fun stuff. What are you hearing out there right now? I mean, what you're in the eye of the storm on a daily basis.
Um, do me a favor. Will you stop your share real quick if you don't
Oh,
mind?
yep.
We'll just make our faces there.
Sorry about that because I keep seeing you. I'm seeing
It's
you.
okay. I see you too, and I see the screen in the
There
background.
we go.
Perfect. All right. I mean, the challenge that I'm seeing is organizations, unfortunately, have been at the mercy of software companies that just try to get the software to work. And it's not necessarily the software's fault. That change management piece that you talked about for a while, the organizations and software companies just do a poor job of explaining that. And I think a lot of the time it's because these decisions are made in like an echo chamber and the
Mhm.
end users aren't involved in the decision making process. So they're just fighting it because they're used to doing things a certain way and they're resistant to change. And now I have to learn something else. Wait, I have to learn and do it this way. Not have to do it twice,
Mhm.
as opposed to if they have buy-in, they understand the reasoning behind it, right? So, you know, cost of projects only go one way.
Right.
They only go up, and not necessarily pointing fingers at who's at fault there. Is it the leasing company or is it the software company? But it's almost like this forever technology fatigue is happening. And when people sit there and they take a look at this, it scares the crap out of them because they're like, oh my God, how much is this going to cost? Are these people really going to be paying attention? I mean, we have over the next, what, 2 to 5 years, there's going to be some huge people retiring in this industry that's going to, kind of shock it because we've been relying on those people for their knowledge And who knows what that next, I mean, you're the next generation of, take this the right way, senior leadership in this
Right.
industry, right? And it's, are these people going to lean into some of this stuff, or are they just going to be used to just kind of taking it from these forever projects? And I think a lot of it stems based on software organizations, consultants in the industry that just kind of like, oh, it's project based work. We're just going to do, as opposed to looking back and saying, am I really doing something of value? Or am I just billing just to bill something that I know is just, I can't win? But you know what? They're paying me to do something. And that's just bad. That's bad business. Unfortunately, I deal with it all the time where people are like, oh, just another consultant coming in here. What are you really going to do for me besides just take my money? And I'm like, I'm not going to take your project unless we can win. And if we can't win, it's going to be a short term project because there's people out there that want to win.
It, everything comes back to that word that starts with a G, greed. And if we can just take greed out of the situation, the scenario, and ego, and just do the right thing by the person that we're dealing with. I mean, you know this. I've had clients that I've said, you know what, I'm not a fit for you. I'm not going to take your money. It just life's too short. One, to take advantage of someone if they have an issue and I'm just milking it for as long as I can. Um, I'm not doing right by them. Sometimes I get in trouble by that because I speak too candidly to people, because I will say, if I was in your shoes, I would want to know this or share this with you, because it's your livelihood.
Yeah.
Um, but the legacy saw, it's going to be interesting, and I feel for them because they didn't see, no one saw COVID coming. People talked about AI. It was kind of in a winter death for a little while, and then guess what? November of 2023, all hell broke loose, and it's been on ever since. And I don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
I,
We
I,
don't
I
know, but you can't turn a blind eye to it either. I mean, you have to go all in, and that's where I busted your chops for like the last, I don't even know how many months. I'm like, yeah, dude, I get it. I get it. I get
well,
it. But you got to
I
lean
want to be.
into it a little bit just to be aware of what you can do. Don't be ignorant to the
And
fact that,
if I was still CEO at Unify, I wouldn't be. Believe me, I'd be leaning into it because it's who I am from an innovator perspective, and I was already using these tools, but not to the degree I am. And I do feel I'll be very vulnerable, very honest and transparent. A part of me is, I don't want to be perceived as, well, AI, RJ just chasing AI. Nah, because at the end of the day, one of all, I'm not smart enough to be an engineer. These tools have to be good enough for me to be able to use them. And then three, it goes back to strategy and change management and making your business
or
better, driven by the human contextual knowledge of an entrepreneur. So um, that's where I don't want to be on LinkedIn peddling my goods all the time like everybody else. And, I want to at least try and add value and help people, and provide tools and tactical, but also strategic, advice to point someone in the right direction. So,
you know how to grow business, you know how to do it effectively. That's at the end of the day what it means. And this is just tools, better tools to have in your tool belt to overcome some of the challenges that we face today as people and organizations.
this I'll leave you with this. This is a wonderful book that I've been reading. It's by Ron Adner, and I can't remember if Hillary Bilberry might have told me about this book, if not Jeff.
Uh,
Unbelievable book, and it's about ecosystems and the difference between an ecosystem and culture within an organization. And it's really where you look at, an ecosystem. You could look at an example of that is, the ecosystem before Uber was, you had a medallion with taxis, right? And your competition was the guy who was trying to buy additional medallions. You didn't see Uber coming.
oh,
Completely
well,
changed the ecosystem of taxis. It's not even called taxis anymore, right? It's called Uber or rideshare.
yeah. Yeah.
And
And those
that's
people who sat there and fought that system forever, let's lobby, let's do all this anyhow. Yeah.
So, anyways,
Either just,
it's coming. It's what you do with it, and that's why there's no two situations that are the same, and there's no like, yeah, just do this and you'll be good. No, it's everyone on their own, and that's the cool part of it, though, too, because you can put your own personality on it. So,
well, I really appreciate your time, RJ. Thanks for joining me. It's glad to kind of get you into this immersive thing where you can show off some things and give people a little more knowledge on kind of what your day to day looks like today. So, really appreciate it, sir.
yeah, I appreciate it too, Jesse, and I'm all ears to anyone that has any advice on how to educate and bridge the gap. I'm not an educator by trade. I don't speak well. I'm no matter of fact, just to the point. But if there's a scenario or something you've seen, please share so I can share as well. So
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, sir. Look forward to seeing you here in a couple weeks. And, always appreciate your time. Thank you.
thanks, Jesse.